All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is, of course, Conversations with the Crawleys, where we have conversations about faith, family, relationships, and we do recaps, reviews, and commentaries of some of our favorite shows. This one is all about Lindy and Miguel from Married at First Sight, Season 15. So if this is content that you enjoy, hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications,
and share.
And we'll see you in the comments. All right. So, yeah, we're breaking these down. Pick your favorite couple. Go watch the videos that you want to watch of the couple that you like to know about. That way we're not spending an hour and a half talking about all of the couples, right? And you have to go through and scroll through. Watch the video you want, shorter. All right.
Watch them all.
But yeah, watch them all for sure. In fact, rewind, go back and watch it again. All right. But Lindy and Miguel, they did consummate their marriage.
They did consummate.
They said, we got it on.
Miguel said he saw Jesus. He saw Jesus.
He was like, I don't believe in Jesus, but I had a God moment.
He had a God moment. He's like, all right. They were connected.
Yeah.
There were birds in the air.
Everybody on both sides was like, we thought y'all would be the last couple.
Last one. If I put some money on it, I would have lost $1.
Yeah, I think we were saying that Nate and Stasha would have probably been the first ones. If from the beginning we were thinking Nate and Stasha, and then maybe Justin and Alexis, but we didn't expect. And well,
Morgan would have been the wild card.
Well,
possibly.
And then
because we were thinking that Morgan, when she was talking about there was like. He told something. We thought they had consummated their marriage, so that's why. And she was like, kept saying how attractive he was. So, but we were wrong.
Lindy and Miguel,
you go.
They took boots and they knocked them. All right. yeah.
knocking
they knocked the boots. All right.
We weren't always saved. Okay, go ahead.
Praise the Lord. All right. So, but she does say that it was natural. There was no pressure.
Yeah.
It was really nice. He tells the guys, hey, it was nice. It was more passionate than he thought it was going to be.
Right. Which is a good sign.
Yeah. So, but then, Stasha does Stasha kind of be kind of picking a little, if you haven't noticed. But Stasha is like, well, you said that you weren't wanting to necessarily have sex, but then y'all do.
What's up with that?
What's going on?
Where you at, girl?
So in that conversation, though, it really came from a place of she wanted to make sure that she was good with it and didn't feel like she was that Sasha didn't wanted to make sure that Lindy didn't feel like she was pressured into it.
Right. Because of Stasha's past experience.
Right. Yeah. But she does say something that I was like, okay, yeah, that kind of explains it too. Lindy said that she had so much shame growing up about sex and relationships that right now what she wants from the ladies is them to be supportive. Doesn't mean that she's not going to come to them with problems and issues, what have you. But she's like, it was a good thing. It wasn't pressure. But she's like, I need y'all to be supportive of me too in this whole process.
Yeah, but there has to be a balance. Because she's talked about so much of her past childhood. And she kind of shared a lot about what she felt was a conviction of her to wait until they were more, or her was more comfortable. Because he was upfront. He did wanted to see where their sexual chemistry was. Right. And I think what she was saying was, hey, ladies, it is okay for me to change my mind.
Yes.
And I think that's a thing that they have to understand while they're going through this process. There's so much of them having to think and to get to know this person. You're telling something about how you feel at that moment.
Right.
The next sense, by the time you talk to who's now your spouse and they share a different perspective, it makes you think about something differently. Yeah. And maybe you can find yourself adjusting because now you gain new information you didn't have before.
Yep.
But I was glad she was able to express that to them in her words. She's like, right now, this is what I need from you guys. And they were receptive.
Yeah. So they did, Miguel and Lindy did have a conversation a little later on the beach. And basically he was like, she was saying that she feels pressure from him, whether or not she checks all of his boxes. And he's like, be you. If I'm for you, I'm for you. And if you're for me, you're for me. But don't try to conform yourself to what you think I want to see or want to hear.
Right. Well, which makes sense, but at the same time, she's trying to stay married.
Right.
Her goal is, because still within her, with her training and upbringing, is that she doesn't want to get a divorce, or she doesn't want to be like her parents.
And she don't want to go back and have that conversation with her brother.
My God. Yes.
So if her brother's watching, her brother's like, they had sex on their honeymoon.
Again, she made this decision. I can tell through more of the episodes we're seeing, a lot of her past she had come to grips with.
Yes.
And I think they're painting her in a better light, that she's just not this,
This wide-eyed,
naive.
girl.
That's the word I'm looking for. A naive person. Because she is able to articulate very well where she is. And she may feel like it's coming from Miguel, but I feel like a lot of that pressure she's putting on herself.
Absolutely.
Because she's like, I want to stay married, but this guy's like, he has an 8-week timeline, because here you go. Analytically speaking, he feels like certain things have to be in place. And then he sprinkles it with, but it's just going to be this wonderful emotion that overcomes me.
Yeah.
So sorry,
he basically said, well, we
sprinkling and
jazz hands. All right. So he does say that he will give it his all for 8 weeks and then make a decision. She's like, so are we in a 2-month experiment, or are we in a marriage? Because and it's a very valid thing.
I get that.
But because for her, when I hear that, and for her, I think when she hears that, she's like, why am I going to invest everything that I am into an 8-week process when we should be investing everything we have into a marriage? And if the marriage ends at 8 weeks, at least we gave it our all for the 8 weeks. But the goal is not just to get to the 8 weeks. The goal is to get to 30 years, 40 years, whatever it may be. And we're giving it our all throughout the entire process.
Because she has to realize she is not talking to the Miguel, the grown man. She's talking to the abandoned child inside of Miguel. So
Come on, prophetess, prophesy.
Miguel's abandonment issue is talking.
Yes.
I thought my mother, who birthed me, was going to always be there for me. Why set an expectation where I could get hurt? I already got hurt by my mother, who's supposed to love me and take care of me, and she didn't. Here, my wife, how much more pain?
Listen.
Could I take the pain of my wife leaving? If I think about 30 years, I can do 8. Because as he said, it's a way out. And I don't have to feel the pain of losing you later. Because you can't tell me losing the pain of a mother who's alive, even though you find out later she had different mental issues. During that whole time until you grew up, all that pain was in there. It's not healed.
Nope.
And I think that's where he's coming from. And he doesn't even recognize it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we don't talk about it anymore. I forgive her. I moved on. But you never allow that little boy to grow up to say, that little girl hurt. It was terrible. And now I need to reconfigure that my relationships can last that long. So I'm rooting for him and for her. But until he can really express where that's coming from, it's going to be in the back of his mind.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, you don't even know it.
Listen.
My God, I feel that.
Somebody strike up the organ right there.
I feel like there's someone else out there. They're feeling they've been abandoned. You've been abandoned in your past, and you're having a hard time with relationships. You get out first. You get out of the relationship before you're hurt. You set this time limit of what you have. It's through the holiday season, and then it ends. It's through, I got my summer months, and it ends. When you have to start with that person, that little girl, that little boy on the inside that needs to heal from the abandonment issue you're facing, talk to someone and then try to go into thinking, I'm going to find someone that's going to be in a long-term relationship with me.
You thought you were just watching a video. You got a counseling session for free. Go ahead. There you go. Be blessed. All right. So all the couples meet up. And Lindy does put Miguel on blast a little with the other couples about the conversation that they just had as far as the 2-month experiment, what have you. And again, Miguel is kind of mind blown that Alexis and Justin can say that they know they want to be together. And Lindy kind of comes to Miguel's defense, but Alexis is like, 20 minutes ago, you were saying how you weren't cool with it, but now you're cool with it. So there is, in some respects, what seems to be at least the narrative is that is Lindy changing her opinion or conforming who she is and her feelings about things based upon how Miguel is going to respond or how Miguel thinks, right? So Stasia is about to go in. She's like, okay, let me... And then all of a sudden you hear the producers cue the mariachi band. Come downstairs, fellas. Come on down. Come on. Because that mariachi band was like right on time. Because he opened his mouth and it was... And he was like, okay.
I got saved by the bell.
And then you hear Lindy kind of whispering to Miguel, like, we're the real ones. We're the ones that are taking it slow. They don't know the conversations that we've had. Now, here's the thing that I was thinking about also is there's great value, in my opinion, of having the couples together. But there's also, in some respects, I think there is some detriment to having all the couples together because everybody's trying to psychoanalyze each other based upon how they respond and based upon how their relationship is going. And so the couples, in some respects, don't have the ability. They're kind of having to defend themselves against the other couple. So there's values on both sides.
Yeah, and I think for this group, it's a little bit different than the past groups. They have such a deeper connection very quickly to protect one another.
Yeah.
And it is for protection mode, but at the same time, I agree because even when Lindy brought up about Nate, well, Miguel was saying that because he feels like they had sex. She doesn't say that when she talks to Sasha.
That's true.
Because that would give more context of why Miguel feels that way.
That's true.
Because if she had said that, like, girl, I don't feel like he's being really real, being superficial because he thinks you guys had sex. She could have came back and said, oh, well, no, we haven't had sex. So that is Nate being real and truthful about that. If that's what you're referring to.
Right.
And so I was thinking the same thing. I was like, okay, y'all need to be careful because you could put something in a person's mind and you have to make a decision. Am I going to accept what someone else is seeing? Is it really my perspective or are they coming from somewhere? Because I've had someone to try to do that when we were engaged or getting engaged, put a perspective of you in me, and I tell you about it, like, I hardly know that woman. How could she say something about me and she hardly knows me?
She was one young lady who I met one time because I went out with a group of friends, and I could tell that she was attracted to me and that she wanted to talk to me, and I wasn't feeling her. And that was the only time we had a conversation. And then she came to her, started telling all this stuff about who I was and my character and what have you. I'm like, you talk about this person? I've said maybe 5 words to this person.
And so I had to was like, do I have a right perspective of you? And I had to evaluate that compared to someone who knew you a lot less. And I had to say, okay, I'm gonna have to let that go.
Yep.
And the same thing is happening here where they're gonna have to take in that information, not wear it.
Yes.
And then spew it out on their spouse.
Yes. So as they're kind of wrapping up their honeymoon as well, she does say things like she's concerned that he'll resent her because with her job, she doesn't have to work or, she's kind of fought for her off time and her free days, what have you. And so she's like, don't be mad when I go to Mexico with my friends or I'm just hanging out and not working and you're working. He's like, slow down. It's not an issue. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. You're worrying too much.
Right.
So yes, Lindy part of her thing, I think, is that she does overthink things.
Yeah.
And looks for the ways that he's going to reject her in some respects.
Right. But I do understand that though, because she is in a lot of debt. And so for me just meeting you, if I'm working and you just left talking about you going to go do what? And you got $100,000? I know you won't be happy, but how long you going to hold on to this debt?
Yeah.
So
Because it's just going to increase.
It's just going to increase. So I've been like, okay, I appreciate that. Like, how often did you leave and go to Mexico?
And here's the thing. That's great as your singleness.
Because you don't care when you pay it off.
But when you're, I mean, just even from the aspect of when you're married, I don't know that she's going to be traveling the way that she thinks she does or that she has before.
That's true.
I don't think she's going to, because I think when you're married, things do change as far as how you interact with the person that you're connected with, right?
That's true.
So
that's true. So it like you said, she could definitely be overthinking that and thinking, she's gonna be doing this all often. But I think she needs to also realize they need to sit down and have a conversation, because he's probably like, baby girl, if we want to buy a house, if we're saying we're gonna have to have kids, I don't want to be carrying certain things with us.
Absolutely.
And hopefully that'd be a motivation that all her single time that she had to have all the time where she can enjoy her life, she can do that without carrying a purse of $100,000. She could be putting that away for college fund. But this is something he's going to have to tell her, like, these are all the benefits of not having and carrying this debt.
Yes. Yep. All right, well, listen, that's it for this review of this couple. Again, check out the other videos that we've done on the other couples from this episode of Married at First Sight. And we will see you next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.